Hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. And yesterday, Arsenal absolutely dismantled Sporting Lisbon, a team that dismantled Man City 4-1. We dismantled Sporting Lisbon 5-1 and pretty much gave them no chance whatsoever of recovery, no chance to do almost anything, especially the first half. Without shadow of a doubt, with the best performance we have had in Europe under Mikel Arteta, I would say. Genuinely 5 goals as well, which is something very uncharacteristic given the recent results, recent games that this year we have played against Bayern Munich away, we have played against Inter Milan, Atalanta away, and we hadn't scored whatsoever. Even against Porto we didn't score, we didn't even had a shot on target, but yesterday we absolutely, it felt like every single star aligned and we scored every single goal we possibly imagined. We could have scored even about 3-4 more goals if we were actually lucky enough and actually fortunate enough if we could finish our dinner, to be honest. So basically absolute annihilation of Sporting Lisbon. Gyökeres, where was he? Still missing, still somewhere in Gabriel's pockets and Saliba's pockets. It was all around perfect performance, I'm not gonna lie. Even though we conceded the goal and everything, it was still all around a perfect performance. So today we're gonna discuss that. We're gonna look at some transfer rumors, of course. There will be some Coneman music, of course, after Sporting Lisbon press conference and all that good stuff. But of course, we're gonna kick things off with this 5-1, and last time we scored an away goal, if I'm not mistaken, was PSV, wasn't it? PSV away. It was a draw when we played our rotated team pretty much, so it was a weird one. It genuinely was a weird one, I'm not gonna lie. But ultimately, since then, we hadn't scored an away game, and then it was some time and we scored 5. And 5 different goal scorers as well, which is, I would say, somewhat uncharacteristic. When a team scores 5 goals, you usually get at least one player who scores twice. I would like to think so, and that's what at least some previous experiences have showed us. But yes, there was none of that. Genuinely, there was none of that. 5 different players. Gabriel Martinelli already in 7th minute, a simple goal. Havertz, a simple tap and incredible pass by Partey. Then the pass by Bukayo Saka. Gabriel header, then does the Gyökeres celebration. Although himself, he claimed he did the Bane celebration. I want to say Bane's not a footballer, even that's a character, but he dedicated that to Bane from Batman. Bukayo Saka, stone cold penalty, side netting and everything, just perfectly executed. And at the end, Merino's shot, so much power behind it, the goalkeeper couldn't catch it, so he had to parry it, and it was straight into Trossard's path, who heads it in to make it ultimately 5-1. But yeah, that one goal kind of stings a bit, I'm not gonna lie. Now it's a bit of a perfectionism kind of kicking in, because overall, yeah, they didn't have that many chances to score. They had some dangerous shots. Raya made some decent saves. And ultimately, one corner early in the second half, Calafiori generally got done over. And yeah, it was 2-1, then 3-1. And there was that little doubt still in me that we could actually concede, could go south. But then they didn't, luckily for us, and we managed to get a penalty afterwards, 20 minutes later nearly, and of course Trossard sealed the deal with 5-1. And on top of that, Man City drew 3-3, which is very uncharacteristic. By the time I'm live as well, of course, Champions League is happening, Liverpool are playing Real Madrid. That will be very interesting to see how that goes, because during the weekend Liverpool play at Anfield, Manchester City, and the way Man City are looking at the moment, ooh, it could be rough, especially Anfield's one of those places where Pep Guardiola doesn't do well. So it will be very interesting to see how Liverpool play today and how they could actually potentially look on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, that game is. But ultimately, the stats are pretty damn even. Arsenal scored goals, they gave away the control of the game at some points, and it basically balanced each other out. 19 shots for Sporting, 13 for Arsenal, on target, pretty much straight even. But Arsenal also managed to convert over 50% of shots on target, which is actually quite fantastic and quite phenomenal, to be honest. You don't see that too often. And overall, yeah, quite dedicated, quite surprising performance, to say the least, in that regard, given the situation, how everything went, how everything developed during the game, how everything was going, and basically what I expected given the previous performances away in Champions League, because this was one of those games where if Arteta doesn't learn from this, there's no way back. Genuinely, because our team, the way it's built, it's basically built to attack. Our team, pretty much straightforward, is meant to be attacking, not to sit back, not to defend, not to give up possession and give control of the game. Our team is meant to be attacking. Bukayo Saka has indicated that in interviews, some other players as well, and ultimately it showed. It's no wonder that in the second part of last season we just blitzed teams. 5-0, 6-1, 6-0, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1 and stuff like that. 2 seasons ago when we played the whole season that way, it was no wonder and no surprise, of course, as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, some player ratings, of course, is bound to come in hand. Because, let's be real, this was the best performance we have had, I would say, actually, this season. Overall, not even just in Champions League, because it's not hard to beat that. Although PSG was a very controlled and very easy game, but this took the cake, because this was the game where Arsenal had to make a statement. Because if Arsenal want to actually do something in Champions League, even to remotely at some extent, they had to win this game. They genuinely had to win this game. And not maybe, I would have taken 2-1 win, as I predicted before the game. 2-1 win, some people said 3-1, some people said Arsenal's gonna lose, but at the end of the day, they genuinely just blew every single prediction I read online out of the water. So let's go through the players, let's do some ratings, let's see what you think in the chat and everything, let's see what every other people is saying. So kicking things off with David Raya, of course, the goalkeeper, who else? And I must say, overall, we have to give props to David Raya, because when we signed him, Ramsdale was still here, of course, and as he took Ramsdale's spot very, very quickly, and he got name called, he got whistled. The fans were not too happy. Big part of fans. When we signed David Raya, was saying that he will be Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper by February, maybe January. But it happened pretty much instantly, and we have never looked back since. Yes, there was a shaky start, but at the moment, he's our main guy, he's our leader, he's carrying us over the line. He made some 3-4 very, very important saves, which, if they go in, it could have gone either way. It could have gone down the hill very quickly, very instantly. So definitely, we need to look at that, we need to think about this. Only drawback for David Raya is the fact that he got a yellow card for time wasting, which I'm not a big fan of, because time wasting already in the 51st minute and even before that is not a great thing. But ultimately it never led to anything, because if we lost or drew the game, even that would have been one of the memes, of course. But David Raya got a yellow, but he made some wonderful saves. In the goal, he couldn't done anything about it. Let's be real, it's more on Calafiori than anything. So David Raya, for me, gets a solid 8. Solid 8. Would have been a 9 if he didn't have the yellow. Maybe even higher if he got a clean sheet, but it is what it is. 8 is actually quite great result in my opinion. Urian Timber. Timber, shiver me timbers and all that stuff. I must admit, and I was saying this also in the in summer, that there, of all the defenders we have in the team, there is a possibility that Urian Timber actually might overtook Ben White and become our #1. And at the moment Ben White is out, we all know that, till next year, I would assume so. And Timber is playing right back in his, I wouldn't say natural, because he feels also could be a center back, but let's just say he plays right back, his natural position, and he was sublime. I'm not gonna lie. He just he shoulder tackles, he goes forward, he takes on opponents, he crosses, he shoots, he defends. Saka said that he can also go more on the attack with Timber at the back, and it genuinely showed. And Timber, I'm giving Timber an 8.5. I'm giving Urian Timber an 8.5. He was sublime. He was fantastic, and it's actually quite wonderful to see when you actually play players in their actual positions, like Timber at right back, Partey as a 6. Declan Rice obviously still is a hit and miss, because he technically should be a 6, but he plays in an 8. There could be arguments made about that, but when we have Odegaard back, Saka is opened up and everything, it is actually phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, it is quite phenomenal, to say the least. But yeah, Timber for me gets an 8.5. Moving on to the left side to Calafiori. Yeah, that is a bit different story, because You can see that Calafiori is trying to settle in. He slowly is settling in. He's also pushing quite a bit forward sometimes when we were just simply not even running on a counter. We were jogging on a counter at times. And he was one of the guys who technically shouldn't be as high up. He was actually one of the guys who was the furthest up. From a left back position, he was one of those who was the furthest up. He was actually doing pretty darn good. But for the goal we conceded, he has to take somewhat big responsibility. He got done over by Nacho, who scored. Of course, from that instance, he got bodied. And yeah, Calafiori is that guy who basically is a hit and miss, and who basically still raises quite a bit of questions in this regard, because there is a player there, but this will go two ways. Either he will go and jog on from here and improve and get better and better and better, but ultimately there also could be an instance where he doesn't. Because the way he got cooked at times, the way he sometimes gets cooked in Premier League, and the fact that he struggles a bit, not a bit, at times quite a bit, against very pacey wingers, it is a bit of a worry. Obviously, yesterday against Trincao, he didn't do that badly, but overall, it could be a worry as soon as you put some somewhat very strong player up him. Very good winger, very quick pace and everything. It could be a bit of a struggle. But ultimately, for me, Timber, for yesterday, gets I would give him a 7. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot give him more, because also, if you look at FOTMob, where is it? Here, FOTMob, right? And look at these player ratings. Spot the odd man out in these player ratings in Calafiori. He got 6.4 from FOTMob, and the rest of them are in 7s and higher. And Bukayo Saka got man of the match. For me, it's a different man of the match. We're gonna get to that in a second. But Calafiori was the odd man out. He is only one with an orange player mark rating, and that is not a good thing, because the lowest one, I don't know how they put these markings, because, for example, Partey should be about an 8, but he somehow got 7.1. So for me, he was an 8. And for me, Calafiori, yes, he was the worst player on the pitch. And that doesn't say a lot, because we actually were very good. It's the fact that yesterday's game, we played how we played, and we set the bar so high that Calafiori stood out like the odd man out, basically. And yeah, he gets from me a 7. And I kind of disagree that he gets a 6, but he gets a 7 for me. But ultimately, I think it will be a struggle for him to quite some extent overall. It will be a struggle for him to quite some extent to kind of fit into the team, although he didn't have a bad game. I'm not saying he had a bad game, but at the time he kind of let us down. If the goal we conceded from a corner. And yes, he's a new signing, but there's still quite a bit left to be desired. Let's just put it that way. And it could come with time. I would assume it will come with time, because that left side for us in Arsenal's team has been an issue for a while. Let's just put it that way. It's either left back, either left wing, but ultimately we technically fixed our left wing a few years ago, but then it was the left back issue. Now we are kind of focusing on a left back, but again now our left 8 and left wing overall are struggling. So that left side overall for Arsenal at the moment is a bit of an issue. So it might take some time, it might come good, it might not, and obviously it remains to be seen, but ultimately for yesterday he gets a 7. He needs to improve, and I would hope he improves quite massively. His mistake didn't cost us yesterday, but in a tighter game, if this repeats, it could cost us some points. And that is for me the biggest worry. I'm not worried about Timber, for example, if he plays as a right back, as a left back, he plays, I'm not gonna lie, a bit worse. I have to say it as it is, pound per pound. But ultimately, yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Moving on to William Saliba. Saliba, solid, strong performance. Got spun by Gyökeres once, and that was towards the end part of the game when Kivior was on for Gabriel. But overall, I must admit, he has such high standards that we basically accept these performances as granted. I know we shouldn't, but given the fact that over the years, for example, we have gone to players like Squillaci, Giroud, like even Koscielny to some extent, there was Stepanovs, there was, of course, Mustafi, Socrates, even David Luiz. We kind of deserve this center-back pairing. Saliba Gabriel, you could argue, is the best center-back pairing in Europe at the moment. And it showed yesterday, totally shut down Gyökeres. They already have managed to shut down Haaland pretty much every single game we have played against Man City. and now he did that against Gyökeres as well. And yeah, Saliba gets an 8.5 for me for yesterday's performance. The fact is, it's very hard to judge Saliba because the way he plays, the way he has set his standards over the last few years, it's always up here. And you kind of are at this stage with Saliba where you expect this type of performance. And as soon as he drops even by 1 inch, it feels like he has fallen off. And it feels like he cannot get better. But every single game, he somehow manages to surprise you, to somehow shock you. That he has something new in his locker in a way. But yeah, for yesterday, very solid, completely with Gabriel shut down Gyökeres. Didn't do much, especially in the first half. In second half, kind of opened up a bit, but Sporting were pushing a bit more forwards as well. They had to kind of try and claw back the game because they were 3-0 down. With 3-1, they had some hopes until we got the penalty. But yeah, he gets an 8.5 for me. And now we get, for my personal man of the match, Gabriel. Phenomenal performance. Phenomenal to say the least. He did everything. He defended, he attacked, he scored a goal from a corner. He also pocketed Gyökeres to the maximum level, never let up, never let anyone down. The Bozo moments also have genuinely decreased almost to nothingness over the years. The only issue is the fact that he had some sort of discomfort. He had some, I don't know if it's an injury long term, if it's a small injury, if it's just a knock or what, but he had to be taken out. And that is now at the moment the biggest question mark I have about Arsenal before on the weekend we play against West Ham. Will he be ready for the game? That for me is the biggest question. But you know I don't do this often, but Gabriel for me, for yesterday's performance, gets a 10. 10 out of 10 performance for Gabriel for me. Man of the match for me. And let's be real, there are about 4 or 5 players in yesterday's game who could have gotten the man of the match, who should have gotten the man, who, if there was a possibility, would get all of the man of the matches. But for me, Gabriel got man of the match for me. Moving on to our number 6, Thomas Partey, the general in the midfield. Some incredible passing. The pass for the second goal for Bukayo Saka, who then squared it or tried to shoot. I don't know because I haven't checked the angles, everything. I haven't watched the replay of the game, just going from the top of my head. I'm going to be honest with you. But yeah, that pass was fantastic and everything. He made some brilliant tackles as well, dispossessing the opponent. So for me, Partey gets an 8. Solid, strong, and this is the Partey I want to see every single game. The only drawback is the injuries. And what's going to happen with him in January? Because at the moment, his contract runs out this summer. After this season, in the summer. And the biggest question arises. Do we extend the contract or do we let him go? Now, if he doesn't get injured the whole season and everything, he continues to perform like this, I would entertain the idea of giving him maybe a 1 + 1 year deal. 1 year guaranteed, 1 with an option. Definitely, because he's not getting any younger. The legs are not there just to track everyone. So definitely had to kind of look at it, make amends with that, and kind of move on from those instances. But overall, if he can just sit in the 6, make tackles, distribute the ball, he doesn't have to do much running, he is phenomenal. And that is one of the biggest things about Partey, for example. If your legs start to go, it's not just about Partey, that's about many players as the age goes on. If you kind of can adjust your play where you don't have to run much, but you're in the right position, you're in position to receive the ball, release the ball, to make a tackle, to shove player off the ball and everything, you don't lose your quality because the first thing that goes is the legs. And at the moment, if he can avoid injuries and keep playing like this, I would entertain the idea of giving him 1 + 1 year deal and see what goes from there. Because it feels like also it's just like the NBA and everything. Last year of the contract and all of a sudden players start to play like they're out of their mind, like you have never seen before. But this type of Partey, if he can play like this every single game, that is Partey I want at Arsenal. That is Thomas Partey I want to see at Arsenal every single game. Did I give him a rating? I did. I think I gave him an 8. Declan Rice, Declan Couscous. Yesterday, again, he was more of a couscous than rice, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of hasn't recovered fully from the injury, from the broken toe. And he's doing his best, I'm not gonna lie. He got an assist, he should have gotten an assist for the Gabriel's goal, I'm not gonna lie. He got an assist for Gabriel's goal. But ultimately, I'm giving Declan Couscous a 7. You can see that he's not there yet. He needs to recover. He needs to get back. He needs to get back to full fitness and everything. But overall, for a game of such magnitude, especially for Arsenal in these terms, I'm giving him a 7. Big up Nathan in the chat. Big up my guy. We are so back, dude. I said this in the beginning of the stream. If Arsenal are allowed to attack, we are back. Because our defense is going to take care of itself. And this Arsenal team is made for attacking. Like we did in 22-23 season. Last season, the second part of the season. If Arteta allows us to attack, to press, to kill the games in the first half and do this stuff, we will be insanely hard to stop. But if he kind of converts now back to this control, to this conservative type of football, we are done. That is the thing. The big question is, has Arteta learned from this game that he needs to allow our attackers to attack, defenders to defend, and it's not a necessity and it's not an obligation for our attackers to push back and defend, like Bukayo Saka said. Arteta wants the attackers to defend first and then attack. If that persists in the future, we're done. And Arteta should also go on the spot because he hasn't learned from these performances. But if he allows them to attack, to pass, move, pocket passes, all that stuff like we saw yesterday, there is a possibility we actually could do something in the league. Should it be an 8-0? To be honest, we could have scored about 5 in the first half and about 3-4 more in the second half. That one goal we conceded, I must say it's on Calafiori, because Raya couldn't do anything there. Calafiori got bodied by Nacho, and he just, he a bit let us down, because also in the beginning of the stream I said this. We won 5-1, and now with this 5-1 result based on yesterday's performance, it kind of wishes it was a clean sheet, doesn't it? And now it's a bit of a rough one in that sense. It's a tough pill to swallow, but 5-1 win. If you told me we win 5-1, I would take it and I would be super happy, I'm not gonna lie. Moving on to Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard, what did he do yesterday? What didn't he do yesterday? Let's be real. This is the Martin Odegaard I want to see every single game. This is Martin Odegaard when he's on top of his game, on top of his movement, passing and everything. He is phenomenal. Especially with the fact that I know I kind of have been on his case for about holding on to the ball a bit too much. Many times, taking extra 3-4 touches when he doesn't have to and he can just take a touch and release the ball instantly into the gap. Yesterday he did that a bit less, and all of a sudden we were actually more fluid in the attack. We made some runs in between the line passing and everything. That pass to, who was it to? I now forgot who was the pass to. When we scored a goal, also phenomenal pass. Let's be real, Odegaard was a magician yesterday. And this is the Odegaard I want to see. And this is also for a change, I'm not gonna lie, for a change, it was against a big team. In terms of the magnitude of the game, must-win game. This was the game where there was a pressure on Arsenal. Let's not get it twisted. There was quite a bit of pressure for Arsenal. Because if we lose this game, it could have been a rough one in the Champions League. We actually could lose the chance to qualify for the top 8. And we have to go in that extra stage, potentially. And yesterday, he was perfect. And I need that from him in these big games. Against Liverpool, against City, against Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, whoever we play. I need him to do this in these big games. I don't want to see him disappear like he did against Porto, Bayern Munich, last year against Aston Villa when we lost 2-0 and stuff like that. If Odegaard can sustain these levels of performances, especially in the big games, we will be a challenge to any team, in my opinion. So it will be very interesting to see. And I'm giving Odegaard a 9 for yesterday's performance. 9. Calafiori has been better this week, less explosive and risky on the ball. Yeah, that is the good part. The thing is, I still have very big fears that he will get cooked by pacey wingers, obviously. And the second one is the fact that that's what's worrying me about Calafiori, is that these type of situations where he loses his duels, we saw that against Donetsk Shakhtar as well, by the way, he got bodied off the ball. It hasn't cost us yet, But against tougher opposition, maybe in a bigger scale of game, there actually could be a place where this cost us some points. And that then could be a big issue. Because everyone will remember that, everyone will scrutinize that, everyone will be on his case because of that. So as quicker he can adapt, then we could see a proper Calafiori, genuinely. First goal came from traditional fullback making overlap. Exactly. That is the case. Traditional fullback overlapping. And we need to do that more. Enough of this inverted crap. Overlap a bit more as well. And it worked like a charm yesterday. That is something, again, I want to see more often. And I must say, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, they feel very comfortable with Jurrien Timber as a right back. We have played finally Jurrien Timber in his proper position. Because you can tell he's not a left back. He struggles there on occasion. But as a right back, he hasn't had a bad performance yet when he has played there. And yesterday he was sublime. And Bukayo Saka, I mentioned this almost every single stream it feels like, but Bukayo Saka said the same thing in interviews. He feels safer with Jurrien Timber as a right back. Because that means he doesn't have to track back as much. He can afford to push ahead more forward. And he doesn't have to kind of overthink things. And need to also, if he loses possession, instantly track back. He can rely on Timber. Because Timber is actually not afraid to make a tackle. He's not afraid to go into a contact with the attacker. Which on the other hand, Ben White feels like he tends to avoid quite a bit. Because one thing with Ben White is he makes sometimes the tackle. But most of the time when the attacker is coming at him, he's just stepping back, not making the tackle. And by the time he wants to make a tackle, he already is inside our penalty box. And if he gets the tackle wrong, it's instantly a penalty. So Timber is more direct also as a defender in general. And the fact that he has pace, strength, and abilities, it just, in my opinion, makes him, for us, a better option as that right back spot. 100%. And to add on top of that, by the way, in the beginning of the season, we talked about this. When Timber is back, who is gonna be our right back, White or Timber? And at the moment, and this will be a very wild take maybe to some extent, but as long as Timber is fit, I want to see him as a right back. And even if Ben White comes back after injury whilst Timber is fit, I want Timber to play. Because the games he has played as a right back, the shape, the defensive solidity, and the calmness in the defense is on a higher level. I'm not gonna lie. It feels much safer than with Ben White as a right back. Even though Ben White has had some spectacular performances for Arsenal as a right back. Even he has been put in conversations being one of the best right backs in the league. But if Timber can stay fit and keep up these performances, Ben White might also not get back into the team that easily, if not at all. And in this instance, I'm not gonna lie, that Ben White slowly but steadily also could get some level of Ramsdale treatment if push comes to shove, if Timber keeps up these performances. So we will see how that it will develop. But at the moment, with fully fit Timber on top of his game, he is much, I don't want to say much more, but he convinces me more for a right back spot than Ben White. I'm not gonna lie. Anyhow, swiftly moving forward to Gabriel Martinelli, he scored a goal. Didn't do anything exceptional, but at the same time, the 3 at the back formation favors him quite massively. Because 3 at the back formation that Sporting played kinda relies on the fact that the wingers in Cuenda and Araujo had to track back. And if they cannot do that properly the full game, it opens up the spaces, it opens up the possibilities for Martinelli. And he tried and did his best to take the full advantage of that, and it worked. So I'm giving Martinelli an 8. Very solid, very strong performance. He needed that. He needed a goal. He needed a performance. He needed this. And if he can start to build slowly on these performances where he scores, where he does his things properly, if he can start to recapture, I will sound like Mikel Arteta here, but the essence, the energy, the aura of the Martinelli from 2 seasons ago, from 22-23 season, oh boy, that new left wing talk will quiet down real quick. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Sporting were not prepared. They weren't. They genuinely weren't. They played like they usually play, and they left so many gaps for our wingers, especially with the Odegaard and everything, with Calafiori tucking in and simultaneously with Yuri and Timber overlapping, that it actually threw them off their game. And Havertz as well. We're gonna move on to Havertz now. Havertz gets an 8 for me as well. He didn't do anything exceptional. He got a goal. He did everything. He kind of helped Martinelli to score the goal because he was pulled down in the box. That potentially could have even been a penalty if Martinelli doesn't score that from the Timbers cross. But ultimately, he really got on nerves on Ousmane Diomande. Remember Diomande, Arsenal were linked with him, and United at the moment are linked with him because of Ruben Amorim and stuff like that. But Diomande got the lowest rating in Sporting's squad, as you can see, 4.7. And it's because of the yellow card, obviously. But also, quite big reason for that is Kai Havertz, because I think he really pissed him off. It's similar like last year, where Havertz single-handedly manhandled in a way Konate, where he made him to get the yellows, got him sent off and everything. It feels that way, doesn't it? It kind of gets that feeling a bit. They had no answers for our front four, Rice making those. Yeah, that's the thing. They defended like they usually do. They played like they usually do, but they were not prepared for certain instances, which they were prepared when they were playing against City, and they are usually prepared for. They left so many open gaps for our left number 8, for Odegaard, even for Timber and Calafiori sometimes to try and run into, that it actually made their defense very, very exposed. Very exposed. And yeah, they suffered their first loss in Champions League. First loss at home, I think, in 18 months as well. So Arsenal, definitely you cannot take any credit away from Arsenal in this regard. They did phenomenally well and they did fantastic job. Diomande got cooked, don't want anything with him, Ralph. Exactly, that's the case. He got railed by Havertz. You can see that he wasn't prepared for such levels, for such instances, and for such situations. It was actually insane. And now to Bukayo Saka. Scored a goal, penalty, fantastic penalty, side netting and everything, the perfect penalty arguably, bottom corner. Had defenders on the toast. Had defenders, whoever played against him, Inacio, whoever, he generally dealt with that. They were trying to triple team him even in the beginning of the game and double team and everything, and it just did not work. He was Timber overlapping, Odegaard helping him, supporting him with an open pass, then Rice or Havertz making runs in between the lines. He always had an option to get the ball off to someone, and it always potentially could have been a dangerous situation if he managed to get the ball away from him and pass it off. So, did amazingly in that regard. For me, Saka gets a 9 for yesterday's performance. This is the type of games where they need our main guys, in Odegaard, Saka, players like that had to step up, and they actually did it. I know I talked about in the preview show 2 days ago about the fact that this is Arsenal's audition for Gyökeres potentially, and at the same time it's audition for Gyökeres for Arsenal. And ultimately, we genuinely shut him down in the first half. He didn't know what hit them. I probably still is in Gabriel's and Saliba's pockets. In second half, they opened up. They had to go forward more. He cooked Saliba once. Obviously, against Kivior, he just done him over. Kiwi definitely ain't ripe anymore. Send him back to Italy, wherever. Genuinely, just cash in and get someone better. And yeah, overall, very solid, very strong performance. From the bench, Kivior came on as a sub for injured Gabriel. Still waiting on news on Gabriel, because getting subbed off in these games, it's also not a great thing. And if you think about it, the last time one of our main defenders got injured, Saliba got injured last time when we played Sporting as well in Europa League. I don't know if it's the Sporting curse or something, but at some points one of our center backs get injured exactly against Sporting, as wild as it sounds. Zinchenko came on, did nothing much. Trossard came on, scored a goal. He gets a 7 for me. Merino came on, did good. It feels like Merino also is growing slowly into the team, which is fantastic to see. Whether he's gonna come out to be the guy we're looking for or not, it's just a matter of time until we find out. But ultimately, with every single game, Merino somehow feels more comfortable with the team, more comfortable pushing forward and defending. Still have some doubts about his pace and him defending at times because he gets cooked quite on occasion. But the fact is that he's not afraid to shoot from outside the box, because from there the Trossard goal came from, and you don't see with Arsenal that too often, let's be real. And I think he will score some long shots for Arsenal as well, so that's just a matter of time. Ethan Nwaneri as well came on, did some good things, was very direct, very attacking minded. He could have scored. But ultimately for me, Nwaneri gets a 7. Merino gets a 7, Trossard gets a 7, Zinchenko was quiet, gets a 6. Kivior was not long enough, but I guess I give him a standard 6 for that regard. But yeah, 5-1 win. We have to rate Mikel Arteta, don't we? And for Arteta for yesterday, that he actually showed some balls after everything we have seen from Arsenal in the first part of the season. From our Champions League performances in general, especially away, since we hadn't scored a goal this year in Champions League. The last away goal we had scored was against PSV, by the way, when we drew that game. I'm giving Mikel Arteta a 9. 9.5, depends how you look at things. Mikel Arteta did his job yesterday. He put out pretty much the perfect 11 for this game. I'm not gonna lie. Timber, he played all the players in the right positions, and it's no shock that actually we start to tick, because Timber is a left back. For me, no, just play him as a right back. Calafiori, play him there, see what happens. Partey can actually play as a 6. The only player that feels out of position in this formation and in these players is Declan Rice, because I still believe he's more a 6 than an 8. And that's also is a big question, what's going to happen to him. How are we going to utilize him to maybe unlock him even more? But we'll see at the end of the day. But yeah, Mikel Arteta gets from me a 9. Showed some balls, showed some actual strength. And for once, he didn't go hiding. He didn't park the bus. He didn't give away the control of the game too often. He just went for it. And that is fantastic to see. He showed some balls. He went on the attack. And at the end of the day, it paid off massively. 5-1 win. Perfection. But yeah, that is that. Mbappe getting pocketed by Bradley. Wow. Champions League games are happening. What are the Champions League scores saying at the moment? Leeds winning 2-0 against Luton. Cardiff, that's not Champions League, sorry. Girona lost to Sturm Graz 1-0. Who scored for Sturm Graz? Who scored? Mika Biereth, ex-Arsenal. 3 million sold for, has scored for Sturm Graz in a winning game. Ex-Arsenal, Mika Biereth scored a winning goal for Sturm Graz. That's actually phenomenal. Where is Sturm Graz in the table, by the way? Sturm Graz. Graz. They are 29th. Interesting. Very interesting. Liverpool 0-0, Zagreb 0-0, Bruges winning against Celtic 1-0. Monaco beating Benfica 1-0. That is nice, interesting, very interesting. Balogun again not playing, holding the bench, holding the bench for Monaco. And Shakhtar Donetsk are destroying 2-0 in the first half PSV, which is something I did not expect, I'm not gonna lie. Interesting, very interesting how their games are going so far. Anyhow, let's see. Big up SM in the chat. Big up, my guy. Thank you so much for the kind words. Big up. Let's go and let's listen to some Codeman music. Every word from Mikel Arteta post-Sporting Lisbon press conference. I assume it's very short because it was done in Lisbon and they need to catch the flight back. Let's see what he has said. We need a Rudiger type of passion merchant. Well, technically we have Gabriel, because he celebrated every single tackle like it's, I don't know, a game-winning tackle pretty much. But we'll have to wait and see. Those passion merchants are not always the best. We need to get the right one as well. Anyways, What has Mikel Arteta said on how much he enjoyed the performance? For sure, especially against the opponent that we played in their home. I don't think they have lost a game in 18 months, year and a half. They've been on top form. They did better than anyone they played here. So to play to the level with the determination, the purpose, and the fluidity that we've done today, very pleased. If we can continue to play like this, if you allow us to attack, because this team, again, I emphasize this, is made for attacking, not defending, parking the bus and sitting back, there will be lots of good still results to come. I'm sure of it. On comparing this to the Inter result, oh bloody hell, it's true that the result is very different from the performance as well as the intensity of the opponent that we faced when we played Inter. I was so pleased with what I saw, and I knew that in that pathway good things were going to happen in Europe. Today we've been able to do that and replicate it, and even more efficient in the opposition half. And I'm very pleased because the team played with so much courage, because they're so good. Watching them live, I realize how good they are. Well, I guess. Martin Odegaard's excellent display. So this will be the big one. Martin Odegaard's excellent display. Yes, he was again, I think, all the boys. If not, you don't have the dominant performances and the scoreline that we have managed. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways. On wanting to be more ruthless. Yeah, that is the case, because we scored 2 goals and we kind of gave the initiative and the possession away a bit to Lisbon. They kind of were slowly growing into the game, which is not a great job overall, which is kind of not a good thing in general, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, yes, because you cannot speculate, and we had a period after 39-40 minutes that we started to do that, and I had to stop it because that's the tendency the team wants to do, to control it. Wait. Yes, because you cannot speculate, and we had the period after 40 minutes that we started to do that. Wait, so he's talking about the fact that that it's not Arteta's instructions to sit back after getting 2-3-0 leads. It's basically the team that wants to sit back and just control the game. We are not, well, no shit, we are definitely not good at controlling parking the bus. Unfortunately, they scored very early in the second half and created some momentum, but we dealt with it really well. As I said, it was a big performance and a big win, and we're really, really happy. Have you seen reports saying Goulet? Yeah, we're gonna talk about all that after the waffle session. If this is a statement win. Oh, for sure. This, for Arsenal, in my opinion, was a statement win. Because if Arsenal want to do anything in Europe, anything anywhere else, we needed to win this game. So far, our away form in Europe in general has been quite embarrassing, let's just put it that way. And this game against Sporting, a team that basically at home feels like invincible, no pun intended, it's a very good result. Very good and very exceptional result. It kind of showed that we can actually do it. So if we can build on this, we can push from it forward, it actually would be very, very good for Arsenal. Because yes, this performance pretty much was incredible, perfect, almost perfect. And now it's okay. On what's changed since the international break? A lot, because we were training with 11-12 for a long period, so they could not train and play. And then suddenly almost everybody is fit and available. It's true we are still managing certain players, but their level is rising. I have no doubt we have the right ability. We're going to be really a good side. And to be honest, that is the case. The biggest player that at the moment is out for Arsenal, I would say, is Ben White. But if Timber can stay fit, we're not gonna miss White, because Timber, in my opinion, makes us look more solid defensively and makes us more threatening in the attack even as well. Because the way Timber overlaps and how he gets involved in the attacks from that right side is actually phenomenal and fantastic. Quite amazing, I'm not gonna lie. So I think he kind of elevates the attacking performances from the right side. I know the triangle used is and technically is still White, Saka, Odegaard, but with Timber playing instead of White, we look more threatening going forward, and we look much safer staying back. So in that instance, Timber is more well-rounded player, and it kind of shows. It shows during games, it shows during certain moments during the games that he makes a tackle, passes the ball, overlaps, hits it. So we'll see how this goes going forward once Ben White comes back. I would assume next year sometime. But ultimately, at the moment, if Timber can stay fit, We have nothing to worry about. On Gabriel's fitness, we don't know, because he said he was feeling some discomfort and I was about to make change of Raheem Sterling, but I couldn't make the sub and we had to make the other ones. And to be honest, this is the biggest worry. With Arsenal, it's always like this. You get some and you lose some. We got an amazing performance, great result, phenomenal output, and then bang. One thing hits and we are done. Again. And just like I said before, last time Saliba got injured against Sporting Lisbon. Now it looks like it's gonna be Gabriel. For how long remains to be seen, because I haven't seen any reports on the seriousness of the Gabriel's injury or that discomfort. The question is, will he be back for the West Ham game or not? That at the moment is the big question. On Thomas Partey's form this season, I will agree with you. I think is one of the best performances I've seen from him, especially the way he's dominant the game, so that's the level he can play. He's progressing. This year he's been so consistent, as well as because he has a role. That's a big thing. He's a massive player for us. He always has a role. He plays right back or number 6, and not gonna lie, when he played right back, he wasn't bad. He was actually pretty decent. He played against Liverpool as a right back as well, and he actually did very good against Luis Diaz. And as a number 6, obviously, he's fantastic. There's no argument about that. On the key to winning, we are so good. You have to be so good in every department, and we suffered as well in many moments in the game, but we were so effective and so efficient that when we start to attack the opposition, and today that was the big... To be honest, it's true, we scored 5 goals out of 9 shots on target. So we scored more than 50% shots on target, so that's actually pretty darn good and very decent output. But yeah, that was some waffle Codeman music. It's hitting half times in Champions League. Lille are winning 1-0 against Bologna. Macau scored. Dortmund scored against Dinamo Zagreb. Bino Gittens again scored. And that's about it. But let's look at some transfer news. It's 30 minutes to the hour. Let's look at some transfer news and stuff like this. And here is the one that Nathan is talking about in the chat. Here is the one. According to Fabrizio Romano, Real Madrid have rejected 2 approaches for Arda Güler from clubs outside of Spain. The player will stay at the club. And to be honest, when Vini got injured, it was kind of expected. Because Vini is injured, Rodrigo I think is still out as well. And they are kind of lacking in those wing departments. Yes, they have Hendrik. Yes, they have Brahim Diaz. Yes, they have Arda Güler. But they need some proper rotation. And ultimately, at the moment, they need to keep him. Because he can play right wing / number 10. Brahim Diaz also plays right wing / number 10. So they definitely need some players to rotate the squad. And that is, I think, the biggest reason why Real Madrid are rejecting these loan talks, potential outgoing of Arda Güler to get some more game time. Because as soon as it presents itself, he will be on the pitch. According to Sport, Gyökeres is on Barcelona's market. Barcelona are eyeing €70 million deal for Sporting striker Victor Gyökeres this summer. And this £65 million, €70 million price tag compared to current release clauses of 85-90 million puts quite a bit of more teams into the game for Victor Gyökeres in the summer. Yes, apparently it's only a gentleman's agreement, but I think they will stick to it. But yeah, if at the moment, if it is 85-90 million release clauses, there are about 2-3 teams that can actually go for him. Having this 70 million euro actual price in summer puts like extra 5 to 10 teams into the mix. And then again, your big teams are starting to talk, are starting to look. And as Arsenal have said themselves, they don't want to get involved in bidding wars because they don't do good in them. So it is what it is. Big up Arsenal Manic. Big up, big up, big up, big up. So we will see what's going to happen. But I kind of get a feeling that, according to recent reports, that Arsenal are prioritizing Isak over Gyökeres. Gyökeres is like a 3rd or 4th choice striker. I still believe we will try and go for Isak. And if that gets rejected, we will go for Benjamin Šeško. It's kind of like Arsenal's thing, when basically you expect the best, but you get someone average. And based on how much Arsenal were interested in Šeško already last summer, and the sole reason he didn't join was because he was told apparently he will have to sit behind Kai Havertz, it means that currently, next summer they might offer him a bigger role if Havertz doesn't perform. And currently Havertz is not performing that well. Yes, he's invading space, pissing off defenders and all that stuff, but he's not scoring enough. This was his first away goal this season. First away goal this season. Obviously it came on very good time, scoring the second goal. But he only has scored at home, and he has, I think, about 7 goals from about 14-15 games, which is also not a great output if you want to be Arsenal's number one guy. And with scoring one every other game, it definitely not gonna get us over the line in terms of title. I don't know, because Arsenal is a mystery in January. Arsenal don't tend to do big business in January in general, but depending on the position, they might be forced to if they want to win the league. Obviously, it depends where we sit in the table and how far from Liverpool, or we are first even by some miracle on January 1st. It all depends. I think it's just a matter of time and hope, basically. That's the way I see it, of course. In other news, according to Fabrizio Romano, and that's pretty much already talked about by many other people, is that Arsenal are slowly already working on a new deal for Ethan Nwaneri while they are searching for sporting director at the same time. Obviously it sounds hella weird, hella sus and everything that we are already talking without sporting director, but it looks like Ethan Nwaneri has big future at Arsenal. They wanted to put him on a long-term contract. It's considered a priority. And the way he's performing this season every single time when he's not even starting, coming on as a substitution, performing a very good performances, we need to tie him down quite quickly. Because sooner or later, some other teams that will give him a proper opportunity will start looking at him. Because there were teams that already tried to take him away while we were renegotiating his contract while he was in under 20s. So I think this is a very big thing for Arsenal at the moment, to tie him down. Edu's secret folder? Maybe, because there are talks that his secret folder, aka Eto, has already the plans from what Edu prepared for January. They were gonna use it, so it's the big question what's gonna happen with that as well. Is there actually plans, or are they just blowing hot water basically? Apparently, according to Telefootball and numerous other rumors, Brighton's 60 million striker Evan Ferguson is available on loan in January. Now, would I take him on loan in January? No, I wouldn't. Because he got so much hype when he just burst into the scene that at the moment he generally has gone grave silent, and he's been overtaken in the starting role by Danny Welbeck. Like, if Arsenal are trying to sign him, might as well go sign Danny Welbeck back then. Because if you get benched by Danny Welbeck, although Danny Welbeck would be very good for Arsenal at this stage, I think, it's not good for you in general. Because the way he was scoring goals and bursting on the scene before, it is what it is. Exactly, same. I rather take Welbs back, genuinely. 100%, he can hold up the ball, he has the pace, he can pass it, he can shoot it, he's good in the air and everything. Like, similar profile striker like Danny Welbeck would be great at Arsenal, if not Danny Welbeck himself, but obviously Arsenal won't sign Danny Welbeck, let's be real. But some similar profile, I wouldn't say no to that. Look at Victor Gyökeres' stats. This is something as well. Victor Gyökeres in all competitions this season before game against Arsenal. 25 appearances, 33 goals, 8 assists, 8.25 on SOFA score. Now, game against Arsenal comes. He plays against Gabriel and Saliba, arguably the best centre-back partnership in Europe, and instantly. 5 shots, 2 on target, 0.37 xg. He hit the post, by the way, cooked Kivior. 0.0 out of 4 successful dribbles, 1 out of 10 duels won. Genuinely shut him down like a company that's bankrupt. Completely shut him down, didn't give him any chances. In the first half, it was even a surprise he was on the pitch because that's how little I heard and saw him. In the second half, obviously, they were pushing a bit more forward, so he get more edges in that regard. But holy moly. Like, and Cicely is my guy, would be great, left 8. I think left 8 is sorted in Mikel Arteta's eyes with Merino and plus Rice while Partey is here. If Partey leaves, then we can start again these talks. But I think the striker for at the moment is the thing. Will we sign one? Who knows? Bukayo Saka for yesterday's performance got man of the match. Personally, I would give it to Gabriel. I'm not gonna lie. But I guess it is what it is based on Champions League. He got a goal, got an assist, so I guess it is what it is. This is the biggest worry. I already mentioned this, but look at player ratings, look at player performances, and look at the odd man out in this, Calafiori. Like, look at this. Like the odd man out, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, I guess it is what it is at the end of the day. He was the reason why we conceded the goal and everything, but why did he score? Like, for me, he was a 7, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. According to Calcio Mercato, it's coming out of Italy, so you have to take that with some grain of salt. Gyökeres has zero finesse. Well, he's straightforward, basically. Shoots straight from the hip. But yeah, according to Calcio Mercato from Italy, Arsenal are considering move for Atalanta's 25-year-old striker Matteo Retegui, who is valued at £38 million. Now, Retegui this season has hit the ground running and hit it quite fast, because if you look at his stats this season, right, he's actually doing pretty damn well overall. He has, in Serie A, in 13 games, he has 12 goals and 3 assists, which actually is very, very, very good. Obviously, against Arsenal, he missed the penalty. Raya made a double save on him, so it is what it is. But look, at the moment in Serie A, he has played 42 games, which is not many. But this season is obviously the second season in Serie A, and he's on his form of his life, so-called. 15 points out of 13 games. Now, personally, would I take him at Arsenal? And this will sound controversial, but I would. Then again, at the same time, I wouldn't sign him as the #1 striker. As a backup, I would entertain the idea. As a #1 guy, no thanks. Forget him, bring me his manager. Nathan is a massive advocate of Gasperini. 100%. 100% Gasperini is his advocate or something. I think Gasperini is paying Nathan some brown envelopes, if you know what I mean. Palace is his level. Well, depends. Like, Retegui isn't that bad, but I think he needs a specific system for him to work, and I hate the fact that I need to talk about these specific systems for players to play good, but we are at a time of football where basically many players are just system players at the end of the day. Now, this is the painful one, I'm not gonna lie. This is hell of a painful one. Manchester United are preparing a professional contract for Chidobe Martin when he turns 17 at the end of the month. Obviously, he was in Arsenal's camp, scored a well amount of goals. Arsenal couldn't tie down him to a contract, and he chose to play for Man United's academy. In the first game for United's academy, he scored a hat-trick in about 17 minutes, so that just instantly shows something. And obviously United already are now preparing for him a contract instantly. A professional contract, which potentially means he could get called up. With all the talk from United that they might be loaning out, Loaning out, I forgot his name. How am I blanking on this? Loaning out Zirkzee back to Italy and everything. And potentially signing a different striker, Colomwani on loan and stuff like that. There might be a place for Chidobe Martin to start at some point. We'll see, generally we'll see, but they are already preparing a professional contract. He will rot at that hellhole. Not sure. No, it depends, because Amorim isn't that bad with strikers. Like, he might do good actually with him. It obviously remains to be seen. He's only, he's not even 17, so only time will tell. You cannot judge him at the moment because he plays a very different type of extra football. But I guess it is what it is at the end of the day at the moment. We spoke about Ethan Nwaneri. Arsenal are trying to start a new long-term contract talks. How long? I have no idea. When his contract runs out, I think he's still... I think Nwaneri is still on a young contract, isn't it? His contract runs out in. Oh, he's on a young. He has a professional contract, but it's the young one. He's like till 2020, what, 5, 6? I think 26, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, Ethan Vanieri contract. How long is it, the new contract? Vanieri is set to become the third highest paid teenager in the Premier League. The 17-year-old is set to be offered 5-year contract worth $60,000 per week. That's according to transfer.com. Now, he signed for first professional contract last year. Now he's gonna try and sign a proper deal. 60 grand a week though. 60 grand a week for Ethan Vanieri. Don't get me wrong, I love the guy because he looks fantastic and he looks like he could have a bright future at Arsenal. But 60 grand a week, isn't that a bit too steep for a guy who hasn't started a game in Premier League yet? And he's only started against Preston and Bolton and comes on as a sub on occasion? Isn't that a bit too steep? Like, am I a bit cynical in this or something? But seems a bit too steep. 60 grand a week. Seems a bit too damn high, I'm not gonna lie. International friendlies. Oh, obviously in under 19s he generally bags. He has 4 goals, 1 assist in 5 games. In 6 games, sorry, in 6 games. So 5 points in 6 games. Played a full 90, played 22 minutes, got 1 assist, played 74, goal and everything. Even captained the under 19s in 2 occasions. So that is actually quite incredible for Vanieri and his career so far. See how much he has played for Arsenal. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 9 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and 29 minutes. Like, not much. He assisted against he scored against Nottingham Forest, obviously. But overall, this season so far, he has played 50 minutes. 50 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. 50 minutes on 50 minutes overall. That's 8 minutes and with a bit on average. Like, that just seems a bit too rash, doesn't it? 60 grand a week. 60! Holy crap! Obviously, now for under qualifiers, against Lithuania scored, against Bulgaria scored, 2 against Bolton, 1 against Preston as well. I don't know. 60 grand a week for Ethan Vanieri on the new deal, potentially. Just get it straight, potentially. Seems a bit too steep for my taste. 60 grand a week for a 17-year-old. Huh. I might be reading too much into this. I might be a bit too, like, stubborn in those terms. Obviously, it's not my money or anything, but seems a bit too much for my liking at the moment. Seems a bit too much, if you get what I mean. Because at the moment, certain players are getting paid stupid money at Arsenal already. Players who don't deserve that much money. But overall, I guess it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see, because there's no shadow of a doubt that there is a player in Ethan. He might become fantastic at Arsenal if he can avoid injuries and Arteta actually gives him a proper game time and everything. So only time will tell if Arteta at some point also starts him, because he had some opportunities to start him while Odegaard was injured. He didn't start. So, and we are actually linked with some number 10s on loan. So what does that mean for Vanieri? 60 grand a week. If we want to loan him out, nobody will take him on that money. So obviously some questions to be asked, some questions to be answered, but at the end of the day, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, 5-1 against Sporting Lisbon, a team that won against City 4-1, and we beat them 5-1, so Arsenal are better than City. Well, to be honest, based on current form, Arsenal are better than City. Because without Rodri, City genuinely look like a shit show at the moment. 3-0 up against Feyenoord, and it ends 3-3. Not good. They have to travel to Anfield as well now, and they're struggling quite a bit, so it will be very interesting to see what happens over the weekend. But 5-1 win, 3 points in the books. Arsenal are in the battle for top 8 in Champions League. Hopefully that form continues also in Premier League, of course. So yeah, for today I think that will be it. It's Wednesday, so tomorrow is Thursday, of course. We're gonna talk about some other news then. But yeah, for today, that will be it from me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you had a great time. Hope you enjoyed Arsenal's yesterday's performance. I hope Arsenal keep attacking and don't sit back. Stay safe, stay amazing, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell if you're new around here. Take care and see you all tomorrow. Big up Nathan, by the way. Big up Arsenal Manic and big up and big up SM who dropped by. You guys been phenomenal. Take care and peace out.